everyone. My name is Alison Woodall, and I have an online guide called Make the Move that takes you step by step through the process of moving to a new state in the USA. And today I am talking to Vince Carter, and he is a realtor in the Paducah, Kentucky area. Vince, welcome.
Thank you, Alison. It's good to be here.
Well, I love Kentucky. It is one of my favorite states. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you about your area because you are Kentucky born and raised. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've spent the majority of my life in Kentucky and just really love it here.
Well, so for someone who doesn't know Kentucky, I know Kentucky is kind of one of those long, thin states. Where is Paducah located in the state? Is it central? Is it western?
Good question. We are on the western tip of the state. We are just like 20 minutes south of Illinois.
Okay, so you're great. So you've just in terms of travel and location. And so what does Kentucky, your part of Kentucky look like? Is it hilly? Is it trees? Is it rolling fields? Just to give us an idea.
No, there's various landscapes here. Actually, we've got some rolling hills, no mountains, but it is a hilly region. There are some flatlands because there are a lot of farm ground here because it's a rural area, and it's pretty diverse. So it's a nice options.
Okay, because I always think of Kentucky and Tennessee, unless you're in the mountains of Tennessee, it is that kind of rolling hills and a few trees. Whereas, I live in Georgia, and I always say there's no view in Georgia. You just look out on trees. Whereas Kentucky, I was more kind of Eastern Kentucky the time I spent there, but it's those beautiful rolling meadows, and you get to see this beautiful open view.
Course called Rolling Hills Country Club, and it's a golf course subdivision, and then the golf course, but it's set on a set of rolling hills. It's really pretty.
So you've got all the recreation activities. Are you close to lakes? Do you have lakes?
We are close to two large lakes. We're 30 minutes from Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley, and they are massive. I think they run 110 miles long, and in some areas a couple miles wide, and tons of boating, fishing activity. And then there's hiking trails and a really large game preserve in between those lakes.
Wow. Okay. Because I think when you're quite far from the coast, people like to know that there's at least some kind of body of water, if you can't have the beach, to be at a lake is a pretty good second. I actually would rather be on a lake than at the ocean.
Right. Well, and we also have the Ohio River that runs right through Paducah. So some folks go out of the river and boat and things and fish as well.
Okay, well, wonderful. And then we have to talk about weather. Do you have all four seasons?
We do. We have a really nice fall season. That's one of my favorite seasons because there's so many trees and the colors change, reds and oranges. It's really beautiful. And I think that kind of blows people away if they're from more like a desert region. We have a fairly mild winter. We get down and mostly stay around 30-degree temperature. We typically get 1 to 2 snows a year. Sometimes we might have a year where we don't get any snow. And then we have a really nice spring. And then summer is warm. And then we have a couple months that are some humidity. So July and August are pretty hot months, but our summer season is nice as well.
Yeah, but it's not humid like Miami or Tampa. It's slightly humid, but not like super crazy.
Not sweltering humidity, no.
Yeah, because I always think about Kentucky as having more, it is a four seasons kind of state. And while it gets a bit cooler and, cold in winter, it's not like, Buffalo, New York winter. And then when it gets warm in summer, it's not like, Tampa or Miami, which to me was
right.
Just extreme humidity and heat. So let's talk about your market.
Sure.
What is kind of like do you know what your average price point is?
Yeah, our average price point is just below $200,000 for a typical 3-bed, 2-bath home.
Okay, and then do you have in your market? Do you have like that beautiful mansion if someone's wanting a multi-million-dollar home? Do you have like small farms? What do you have like the full range in your area?
With 55,000 people, we don't have dozens and dozens of mansions and high-end property, but we do have luxury properties, and they range Once you get over about 700,000, you're into the luxury market, and we don't see many properties beyond like the $3 million price point. As you mentioned, homes on acreage, that is a really cool opportunity here, and you can find homes on 60 acres, 100 acres in some instances, and a lot of people, because of, long story short, if you own a property with a house that sits on an acre and then an additional 10 acres, you get some farm tax exemption. So that's a popular option in Western Kentucky.
Okay, so because I kind of think of your area, if I had animals and I wanted to, have 10 acres where I could have that kind of country feel, but still be reasonably close to, to a city, then that is an option.
And usually, if you're going to get 10 acres, you're probably going to end up a 20 to 30-minute drive into Paducah, just because it's in such a demand right now. But, when you compare that to living in, a larger city, I lived in Louisville for 10 years. To get anywhere is 45 minutes. So the traffic situation here is really nice on that account.
Yeah, so it's a 30-minute drive through beautiful country. It's not
Right.
30 minutes drive through bumper to bumper LA traffic.
Yeah. Concrete grid here.
Yeah. And what are your property taxes like?
Yeah, they're really inexpensive. On a $200,000 home, you're probably looking at around $900 to $1,000 a year. I talk to people all the time where they're paying in other states, $3,000-$5,000 on a similar price property. So it's pretty affordable. A decent, close to $1 per thousand is an easy benchmark to kind of figure out what our tax rate runs.
Okay, perfect. And then, and like you say, if you have some acreage, then you can get different exemptions and that kind of thing.
You can, and there's also after you reach a certain age, you can have a homestead exemption, and that's something that someone would look for. So, someone might own a $300,000 property, and because of this homestead exemption, they pay taxes based on like $175,000 because of the credit they receive.
Oh, well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what about employment in your area? What are your kind of major employers?
So our largest employer is our Paducah gaseous diffusion plant. So they used to process uranium in the days of the Cold War. They built this ginormous facility, and they're in the process of what they're calling decommissioning or tearing the plant down, and it's a very labor intensive process. So they hire about 1,300 workers, and then we have outside of Paducah, we have what the plants in Calvert City, and they do different industrial manufacturing. There's a lot of good jobs there. Some people in the area work at Murray State University. We also have the Western Kentucky Technical College that employs a lot of people. We have two hospitals, Western Baptist Hospital and Lourdes Hospital, that are big employers as well.
Okay, well, then you just covered my next question, which was, what are hospitals and schools like? So you've got colleges, you've got hospitals. What about like high schools? What's your or like elementary schools? What's your school system like?
So we have a few different county options, and then a couple different city options, and then some private options for schools. Our schools are phenomenal. I have children in our school systems now, and I couldn't be more grateful. My children are in the county school systems. In the city schools, I had family that taught in those school systems, and people are blown away when they come and see the level of care that their children get and the curriculum. It's really impressive. They challenge the children. My fourth grader is bringing home stuff that I'm having a hard time helping her with already. So they're at a sharp learning curve. We also have a private Catholic school and then a Christian school in the area as well. If people in those schools, have 8 to 10 kids per class, if someone's looking for a little more personal attention.
Okay, wonderful. And I think, unless you've lived in the South and moved away, you don't realize how good Southern schools are in terms of just that community. Because, you know, my kids were in, you know, Georgia high school system, and I just took it for granted. And then we moved to California, and there was no sense of community. There was no sense of, you know, that community spirit. And that may just have been the school system that we were in California. I don't want to say every California system is like that.
Sure.
But coming back, it's just that the community revolves around the high school and the football and the sports. And that it's what creates that community spirit, which is one of the things that I love most about being in the South.
And about 7-8 years ago, they combined 3 high schools, and now they have like a really large high school, but they offer so much now, and they have, you know, an incredible football facility and baseball and softball and tennis. Kids can even do like bass fishing, and it's given them just so much that these individual schools couldn't do when they merged. It made a really big impact, and so people are really excited about this McCracken County High School that we have now.
All right. Yeah, my kids, my stepkids, when they graduated, they were 1,000 kids graduated.
Oh, wow.
So, and my last name is Woodall, so we sat there for a very long time. I think my stepdaughter was like 970 something child, but then you get the whole experience. So it's
sure.
you know, big can sometimes be definitely better, just in terms of the opportunities and the resources that are available.
Right.
Okay, so we talked about jobs, we talked about healthcare, we talked about schools. Anything else that is kind of unique to your area that you think we should talk about?
I would say this, that it is a avid outdoorsman place to be. Lots of hunting, lots of fishing, horseback riding, and that, you know, that's what that comes along with having rural space. And so you know, it's deer season here, and you know it's a big deal. It's a big deal in our community, and I think even if you don't. And I don't deer hunt, but you know, it's exciting to see people's children take their first deer and you know, go out for a family hunt on Thanksgiving Day, and all the things that come alongside that.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when I first moved here from England, I didn't have any, even though I grew up on a farm, I didn't have any experience of deer season. And my husband's family are all big hunters. And for 10 years, I never ate anything other than deer meat. And it is the most delicious meat. And then when we moved away from Georgia and I had to go back to eating ground beef, it was like, oh.
Yeah, so, and a lot better for you too.
Yeah, and you know, you can rationalize it however you want, but I feel, do I want to eat beef from a cow that's been raised on a feedlot and had the most miserable life, or would I rather eat, you know, deer meat when that deer's had the most amazing life and it was running through the woods and boom, didn't know what happened to it?
Yep. Now it's dinner.
Everything that a cow goes through, but that's just the way I rationalize it, and someone else could tell me it's, you know.
Sure.
But yes, I can skin a deer. I can also skin
a nice. Very cool.
one of these weird skills that I've kind of picked up through my life. But yes, so hunting is a thing. It's a great way to be outdoors. And even if you don't hunt, then you've got the 4-wheelers, you've got the trails, you've got the camping and everything that just goes along with that kind of outdoors culture. So, and there's a lot
of people that like we mentioned deer, because there's a lot of people that like living in Paducah, because a lot of the places to live, even in subdivisions, it's not uncommon to see a couple deer walk through your yard or some turkey. And so people really like, you know, waking up and having coffee and being able to see wildlife. So that's pretty special.
Yeah. The only downside to deer is if you hit one with your car.
Yeah, they're very bad. They're very, and sometimes they if you have a tomato garden or something, they like tomatoes.
Yeah, my poor mother-in-law, literally, she used to plant this beautiful flower garden, and she had like a vegetable garden, and the deer would come in and eat it all. So now she has a vegetable garden behind this really big high fence, and she grows plants that the deer don't like to eat. But they do look cute when they're, you know, when you see the babies. It's
oh yeah,
it's fun. So, all right, anything else we haven't covered?
it's an area where traditional values are really important. And things move just naturally slower in Paducah. And so I don't think you have, no matter where you are, where you line up politically, you don't have maybe the most extreme views on either side. You just have people who want to love their families and want to do good and impact their communities. And so I appreciate the culture that's in Paducah.
Yeah, it's that Southern culture of pride in your country, in your state, in your family. And most people really don't care about politics because they're too busy trying to live their life and do good and just do the best that they can. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's good Southern values. All right, well, wonderful. Well, if someone wants to contact you, what is the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact us is just to call us directly at 270-908-0020.
And if anyone wants to contact you via email or website, do you have an email or website they can contact you at?
Yes, our website, and I'll say it slowly, is www.WeSellPaducah.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll link to all that information wherever you are watching this video. Well, Vince, thank you so much for talking to me about Kentucky. It's one of my favorite states, and I say that a lot, but I really do love Kentucky. So hopefully I'm going to get back in the next, I'm hoping 2023 will be when I get back and do my little tour of Kentucky.
Well, hey, thanks for talking with us. And like I said, we'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to hear more about Kentucky, and hope you stop in sometime soon, Alison.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So long, California. I'm headed off to somewhere new. I may lose the mountains, the rhythm of the waves, but I won't lose the memory of you, 'cause you're